Challenge runs are a staple of the PVZ community, and frankly, I feel like it's notably missing from my channel. Like, can I really call myself a channel dedicated to PVZ without one? Well, yes, obviously, but like, I'm not super happy about doing so. I mean, I did the OMORI one a while back, but that barely counts. I guess. Meh. A big part of Plants vs Zombies and Plants vs Zombies 2 is creating a defense of plants everywhere to hold off a zombie horde. But, like, these things must take an absurd amount of nutrients to grow, so if you put too many of them down, we zip all the nutrients in the ground, then die as we can't place anything more. Thus, the logical thing to do for me was to try to beat the game only using one of each plant in each level, to ensure this doesn't happen. This should probably be explained better, so I'll go into rules now and try to explain it. For each seed packet, we can have a maximum of one plant we plant in a field at any time. So in the early game we can have one sunflower, one pea shooter, one cabbage, one walnut, and one potato mine. If we are given several plant seed packets, we can use that many of each plant, which is important to keep in mind for the rare situation it happens. If plants are pre-planted, we do not consider them as planted, and these plants are considered free and totally exempt. Special breed or something, I don't know. While not relevant for them due to these rules, I want to try to beat the conveyors under this rule set, with one of each plant for these levels, but these aren't necessary. We win this challenge by beating modern day 34, regardless of our progress in other worlds. Other rules for the sake of it, we aren't allowed to buy Gemium or premium plants, so no lava guava, hurricane, imitator, and so on. We will also ignore the Zen gun when we can, which would otherwise allow us to boost our plants and sorta just break the game. Not fun. Power-ups are also not going to be used for the exact same reason. We will also be playing on an older version of the game, 5.6.1 specifically. This was also all streamed live, and you will likely be seeing chat along the way occasionally as results. With that said, let's begin. Now, usually, the tutorial would be a nightmare of a fight, being entirely impossible as the game wants you to plant 2 pea shooters. Thankfully, it is skippable. Unfortunately, we are still screwed, as we only have one attacking plant pea shooter, and 5 lanes to defend. How are we going to beat levels in this run? Well, Potato Mine is a good start. It's fairly cheap and does its job fairly well for the first few waves. But when multiple zombies come, how can we beat them? Well, you see, we can use the best tool in the entire game, the shovel. The way the rules are written, there is nothing stopping us from shoveling our pea shooter and placing them elsewhere. This is a crucial mechanic of a run, and what will allow us to defend. Now, this comes with several issues, mostly sun cost, as we need to repay a lot of sun every time we shovel up a plant to place it down again. It's not great, and so we should be careful to not shovel plants if we don't need to. Still, it's not enough to make beating the tutorial a huge feat, and we can get into the real game. Oh, and because of the shovel shenanigans, you will need to restart the game often, because it is super easy to lose to you placing 2 plants down at the same time. This happened to me in Egypt 1, and trust me, it will happen more than just that. During the early game, I recommend using Cabbage Pult a lot. This is mostly due to its plant food, which has full board range and is capable of killing most zombies in AE relatively reliably, and other similar worlds are pretty prone to it. But don't use plant food on Potato Mine. This will cause it to duplicate itself, and whether or not it's illegal is beyond me, but I don't want to deal with it. So we will elect to just not use it, and don't think about it. During conveyors, try to cycle through the conveyor by placing and shoveling plants. This gives you more plants during these, which is fairly important. With less plants on the conveyor belt, they'll come much faster. You're going to have a lot fewer plants, so cycling through to get to instant plants is a massive deal in making these levels easier. The early conveyors are fairly easy though, so it's a good time to practice. Anyways, after the power-up tutorial we are forced to do. I mean, it's a challenge to not use power-ups, but whatever, it's a pain. But otherwise free. We can get past the other early levels to reach Egypt 8, which is surprisingly not too bad to beat, and we can use the main reason we chose this version of the game, the world keys. World keys are a unique mechanic in earlier versions, where we can access worlds in an order we choose. A very useful mechanic that we are going to be abusing a ton. And while we can head straight to Monday, we are not at all ready to play Monday. Instead, we'll beat the first level in each world that we can, and that will give us a good plant. So Jurassic Marsh, Neon Mixtape Tour, Lost City, and Far Future. These give us some incredible plants we can easily get. Red Stinger is a very solid DPS option, dealing good damage for not a whole lot of sun, with a weakness that is entirely inapplicable to this run. That Beat is a great early game plant, dealing with 2 lanes of basics with that iceberg and 3 lanes of coneheads with it. Primal Pea Shooter is a strong single target option against Gargs and Buckets, and can disable zombies like barrels. Laser Beam is solid area effect damage, and can be helpful to clear a lane out of infinite coneheads if placed at column 1. Now, with these gone, we can head off into Pirate Seas, as there's something there we really want to get. Actually, there's a few things, but for now, it's just the one. Nothing in Pirate Seas is particularly dangerous. Well, beyond a few specific levels. Pirate Seas 5 is an RNG hell locked and loaded, requiring a player to beat a level with only Colonel and Cherry Bomb. Use Colonel to defend against swashbucklers and seagulls, and try to use Cherry Bomb to clear the main central lanes. This level is long, so try to save as many modes for the second half, but it's not too impossible. Just keep your cool and try to stall. Oh, and the coconut cannons of Dave's, not ours. Dave just is an imbecile who doesn't care for the environment, which does fit his moniker of Crazy Dave. Throughout the rest of the world, Colonel is a decent pick for seagull countering, as the only other plant you really have to deal with them is Red Stinger, which is better used elsewhere. Pirate Seas 8 is seemingly impossible in this rule set. The only plants you get are Snapdragon, Colonel, and Spikeweed, and a ton of walnuts and potato mines I guess, against a hell of a horde. Thankfully, this is skippable by a rule set and we can carry on. You should be fine to complete all the levels up to Pirate Seas 12, unlocking a bunch of utterly useless plants along the way, alongside a mascot for this run at large, and the first shovel boost upgrade. Now, as you can likely guess, we've gotta get something else too. So, we're gonna take a break from doing Pirate Seas and try to grab something from Wild West. You can take a guess what it is, if you remember what's in the world. Wild West central mechanic, minecarts, are obviously fairly important and useful to us. These allow us to move our plants around without having to shovel, so we should always manage them with care, as this world can get very difficult due to a wide variety of threats. Wild West 4 may seem scary, but in reality it's not actually all that difficult, at all. Just shovel plants before you place another down, and ensure minecarts are used well throughout. Throughout these levels we'll also start using Coconut Cannon. Just know that it is very good and will be even stronger very soon for now. Oh, and Chili Bean is an incredibly powerful option in most levels. It's a cheap plant that can instantly kill basically anything in the game, for very cheap. Worth bringing at basically every opportunity, as it's a better potato mine with a stun. Wild West 7 was a huge issue, simply because of Poncho. You see, we play in an older version with dynamic difficulty, which has a lot of downsides, most notably Poncho Zombie. The way he works is that when spawned randomly like this, it has a 50-50 chance of a grate or not, but the game will spawn them all like they are all without a grate, when thinking of how many to spawn, causing a swarm of Buckethead level threats to deal with. We have to wait around here and lose a few times, as this will turn the dynamic difficulty down to normal, and we would just die otherwise. This will be important in the future, so do not forget it. Wild West 8 is obviously impossible as you only get Split Pea and Pea Pod, so no point in trying, there's just no way. Moving on, Wild West 9 would be difficult, but the level gives us a good deck, including Wintermelon and Chili Bean, which are some incredible plants. After witnessing a mysterious, hidden wave, we head on to level 11, beat it, and finally get the final shovel perk, the most important upgrade in the entire game for us. And now, we can start to really abuse that damn Coconut Cannon. Let me explain the main strategy of this run, real quick. The way Coconut Cannon works is that you tap on it, and it fires a strong projectile, dealing about 800 damage in one hit, and 200 damage in a 3x3 area around it. However, once you do, it will take a long time to recharge. However, there is a workaround. If you shovel it, and plant another one, you get another shot. Now, with 2 shovel upgrades, Coconut Cannon will give 200 stun on shovel, which makes it only cost 200 stun to fire a shot. It's pretty nice, especially when you consider we often have an excess of stun. Now all that's left is to get Twin Sunflower to guarantee that excess. Heading into Ancient Egypt, we can start to use our new kit. It's usually pretty easy, but Ancient Egypt 11 is the exception. It's a lock and loaded where you only get Pichu and Bloomerang. Needless to say, this will take a while to get past, but it's not impossible. Just wait for the dynamic difficulty drop and you're a-okay. This is something we'll be doing a decent amount in the future. Oh, and the last stand is part 2. Day 23 seems impossible for us right now, as the pharaohs have just too much HP and are immune to Chili Bean, and we lack any real options to actually kill them. We'll have to return later when we get stronger plants. Or, well, there's a few basic options we should go for first before heading back. We beat Dark Ages 1 after this for an upgrade to our sun production, and the timeline has truly collapsed. We can now run both Sunshroom and Sunflower for extra sun, and thus head to Pirate Seas. This world gives us both seed slots and a cherry bomb, which are both damn near necessary. Issue: there's a few levels with some scary objectives on we'd like, most notably, produce X sun. Though it's deceptive, it's not actually all that difficult to do. Just bring a walnut and you can stall forever against a single zombie, which is more than enough, and gives free trauma to them in their own life. It won't help us against a pretty scary level though, Day 15. It's a flower line level that spawns swashbucklers right on top of a flower line. A challenge, clearly, so we went to go grab Infinite from far future. Then, we all collectively remembered a very interesting plant in this run. Blover. Now, I despise this thing, but we need everything we can get. Blover has a lot of very strong traits we can abuse. It's a 50 sun cost plant that will remove all airborne zombies, every single one of them. It has 5 seconds recharge, so we can rely on it to do this often too, and it disappears automatically when used. Now, this also includes zombies holding onto dear life using a rope. So, you know, solution. However, Blover gets even stupider. You see, Blover got nerfed later down the line, to remove one particular interaction. Blover plus Spring Bean plant food, which is a board clear. We do not have this restriction. This becomes very important for last stands, which are all now so much more manageable due to this combo. Also yes, we can now beat AE 23 and thus finish off Ancient Egypt. The Zomboss fight is doable under this rule set, shockingly enough. It's just not the most, well, logical thing on Earth. We have to hold out in the first wave for a long time, and try to get a ton of repeaters. This is so we can spam repeater plant food later on, our best DPS. We need more than 4, so we need zombies to be alive that have plant food on them when we start, and hope he spawns more, and hope that the mowers can let us live just long enough. It's painful and complicated, but it works, and we beat the first Zomboss of a run. Oh, and we have Twin Sunflower now. It has the best sun production of any plant per space, so we'll be using it a lot. It's fairly simple to guess why. The rest of Pirate Seas is easy with nothing to note, so we can beat up Zomboss in the same way as we did AEs. We just need to spam as many plants down as possible, to give us more cherries and coconut cannons, and use snap plant food defensively sometimes. Difficult level for sure, but a beatable one. Ahoy! God. Please, 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 please. After a very close fight, very close, we managed to beat him. The most fun level in this challenge run, just outright. If you have an afternoon to spare, give this level a shot, it's great. Moving on to Wild West, we can try and beat Wild West 12, the hardest level ever conceived to mankind. This took us 35 minutes. Now, in my defense, this was a version of Reed did a grand total of 5 damage. It's meant to do 10. So yeah, this level's unfair and I am good. Oh, and obviously, level is not doable in this rule set. It gives us literally 2 plants. But Conveyor and separate seed packets are indeed quite helpful. Wild West is seriously a challenge though. Ponchos in this version of the game are brutal and can swarm you very quickly. Not only that, but there is a huge looming threat of just being underprepared for chicken wranglers, a massive threat whenever they appear due to raw numbers. There's quite a few levels here that might take several tries to beat, between the huge HP swarms, the chicken wrangler spam, and so forth. Just use minecarts when you can. At this point, I actually started to use the wiki sometimes and use the level files, so I can actively plan for the level ahead and where to use plant foods. This helps make most last stand levels far easier. Don't lose X plant levels are also intimidating, but you can play around them. You can't shovel plants, but you can use minecarts. So use them. You also shouldn't be afraid to shovel plants if you actually have to. Sure, you can't shovel infinite plants, but there is a limit you can get just close enough to win on. So do that, or save for cherry bombs. Now there are times where it goes worse. Much worse. Wild West 23 is one of the harder levels in this challenge, due to an unfortunate mix of objectives. Flower Line, Chicken Wrangler, and Poncho, against a tight plant loss limit. This isn't good because we can't even use mowers. We have no reliable answer against Chicken Wrangler or armor that can work well in these scenarios. So, we end up beating this level with iceberg plant food, and being so bad that those armored things didn't exist. This is optimal play. I don't know if there's anything else I specifically did, because this level is just a blur of death to me now. I don't think Wild West Zomboss is happening, as he seems to have just too much health. But admittedly, I just wanted to head on to Frostbite Caves here, so I did just that. Frostbite Caves Day 3 looks like a challenge, but you have Hurricane. Hurricane is stupid. We just stall for the final wave and use the singular mower. Works the charm. Heating isn't really an issue in his run either way. We waste a slot on hot potato, sure, but we don't have enough plants as to where we start to find the plants being harder to freeze. So it's not a big deal. Also, pre-planted plants are very helpful for us. We can use them to our advantage. Day 5 is also scary. You have a lot of free cabbages and bonks, but you only have one pepper, and have to remember which cabbage or bonk choice is actually yours. It's all about constant management. A good plant food usage, especially in bonk choice itself, and the level can be done, though it took us a while to beat. There's just a lot of zombies here, and a lot of ways for your plants to freeze, so you have to keep constant eye on anything, and everything. Day 8 is another conveyor, which I don't think is possible under this rule set, but could definitely be tried further. You get a good amount of plants, the level is just too long. However, you do get Hurricane, so it may be possible regardless, if you abuse dynamic difficulty. I just don't care enough, as, to be honest, I've just done a difficult conveyor, and I don't want to spend an hour trying this one. Day 10 is another conveyor that gives you one chart guard and one pea shooter for most of the level. Next. Day 14 isn't hard but funny to point out. This is a locked and loaded, which is usually a death sentence, but here it's really easy because of chart guard being an insanely strong plant when zombies are clumped. And the fact that zombies don't go down the middle lane. This level is dumb. Day 16 is, you guessed it, yet another conveyor. You know what? Screw it. I'm sick of conveyors. And what's more, they aren't even helpful anymore. Look, we got Chart Guard. The only other plant helpful here is Stunyon. In fact, across the entire game, there are super few plants that can help us out now. Primal Potato Mine would be nice, but it's at the end of Jurassic Marsh. We are not doing Jurassic Marsh. Story would be nice, but it's at the end of Lost City, and would take an age, alongside a lot of very rough levels for this run. Celery remains the only other option left that seems reasonable to grab. Maybe Magni too. So, let's just give up. We don't need to 100% the game. We need to beat Monday. Let's cut the filler. We don't need to be here. Let's just finish it out and beat Modern Day. Modern Day's main gimmick is one that is scary for us. Portals. Portals spawn zombies unannounced, deep into the lawn, and often are fairly dangerous. In addition, these levels are starting to get rushy. Coconut Cannon is often just not enough. We have to instead rely on our insta plans even more. Thankfully, we have a few extra options to use. Just don't expect us to keep many mowers along the way. Octos also appear. While a plant is octoed, it still exists for us, so they can really screw you over, but are relatively rare, and Cherry Bomb is a great plant and solution. The early levels in general are spammy, but we do have access to Chart Guard, and later on, Nightshade, which are really good for us. Nightshade's melee form can kill 3 basics, with an effective cost of about 35 sun due to Sun Shovel, and a recharge of 5 seconds. Chart Guard can solo hold lanes rapidly, and can deal with pretty much anything that's ever a threat. We will be using these two a lot in Monday to maintain the field, and survive long enough to win. However, there is a level that is very, very, very rough for us. It's a level that's been hard in challenge runs before, and will remain hard now. And it's a big one. Modern Day, Day 9. It's a locked and loaded level, and the plants it gives are weak. Moonflower, Nightshade, Gravebuster, and Fine Warp. No main attacker, no good sun producer, and Gravebuster. But Fine Warp is actually very good. This wouldn't be horrible, but remember the zombies in this level? Punk Zombie and Explorer. Our main attacker has no range, and Balloon Zombies, which are faster than you think and tankier than you think. Oh, and to just make things even worse, you have a portal, which spawns Weasel Hoarder. Our only attacking plant can only hit 3 times, does so slowly. Yeah, we just aren't beating that. So, let's beat it. Let's start off with a portal. You see, this level has one saving grace for us, in the form of Tomb Raiser. You see, while portals can push plants away when they spawn, they can't push graves away, and portals always spawn on the same spot. So, you can simply wait for Tomb Raiser to fire a grave onto that one tile, don't grave bust it, and then the portal doesn't spawn. If this doesn't happen, you lose instantly, and it is fairly rare, but it happens often enough that you can actually rely on it to some extent. The lack of Weasel Hoarder here is to start us having an actual chance. We still have to serve through Balloon Zombies though. These guys are tanky and need a whole 4 melee slaps to remove the balloon, and an extra slap to kill the zombie itself. And quite early on, you'll have to deal with 2 at the same time. And we only have 1 Nightshade. Yes, this is the one run where Balloon Zombie is actually a problem apparently. So, we need to prepare. If we can force them into the air, they slow down just a bit. So let's do that. As long as a plant can be eaten, Balloon will float over it. Gravebuster is a plant that can be eaten. Use it. Explorer in particular is the biggest issue, requiring 2 Nightshades to kill and good placement. Try to let it hit once then shovel, but stun shouldn't be a huge issue as long as you can keep Moonflower up. Just make sure to kill them. Punk is also a big deal and a priority, though is less dangerous if you muck it up. Now once you get to the second huge wave, congratulations! You lost! 3 Balloon Zombies spawn all at once, and there is not a whole lot you can do about that. And spoilers, but the final wave has a whole 5 balloons, all at once, rushing you down. So yeah, we aren't killing these. So, stage 2 of the plan, lose long enough to win. We need to keep all mowers up, and we have 3 plant food to do it with. Now, we may not be able to win with it alone, but we have instant recharge from Wild West Day 20, so spam the hell out of Fine Warp. We have a limited amount of time to kill the faster zombies, and we should try to kill some of the balloon zombies if possible. If you lose a mower, you will likely get screwed for it, so try to not. Now, final wave comes, you should have all 5 mowers available. You won't though. You can't hold off 3 balloons for long enough. One will sneak through. So time to use Fine Warp one last time. Then another. Then another. Forever. You see, if the zombies are moving at a normal speed, we can stall them out forever with Fine Warp, as its recharge is just fast enough to permanently stall them, allowing us to finally beat this goddamn level. The rest of Monday will be easy. Mostly. I died at Begooled more times than I'd like, but a lot of the rest of the world is mostly enemy spam, which at this point we can handle. You just need to be wary about imps, as these will instantly trigger the next wave if they entirely comprise it, which makes levels far, far faster. You'll need to be using every option you have access to in order for these to be fightable. I strongly recommend Shadow Shroom, as its insanely fast recharge is very helpful in this run, and Cherry Bomb is always good. Monday 14 could potentially be scary as we don't get many good plants, but Trekking Violet is a fantastic option, so the level isn't all too bad. Monday 16 gives a huge amount of plants, but also starts off by spamming a million Gargantuars. Maybe potentially doable, but I don't think so. Not enough plants for the first few waves, so we'll just beat it normally. Monday 18 is entirely free though. Now, the second half of the world is basically entirely free, with no real issues for a long time, and no conveyors to trouble us, as the only one gives us infinite carrots which we can use well, I guess. Rules get weird, so let's just assume it's fine because God knows. Otherwise, the only hard level is day 30, which, to be fair, is quite hard. It's a flower line level with a particularly troublesome zombie, All-Star, plus a few other major threats which make this level quite difficult. Especially considering the waves are rushy, we can't use mowers, and the flower line is close. So our solution? Cheese. We can use Blower here to great effect, as it allows us to trigger mowers. You see, if a flower line is in the middle of the tile, it gains a new property. When a plant is on that tile, it can't be stepped on. For some bizarre reason, Blower, legally, is a plant for a very short period of time. So, using this, we can instantly remove all-stars by letting mowers deal with them, by just timing Blower to clear them. A few other dangerous ways where we have access to enough plant food to clear it instantly. We will also need to knock back and blow the gargantuars, as we lack the DPS to clear them, or the mowers to deal with them. Afterwards, we have a very easy day 31, before we get into 3 consecutive special delivery levels, also known as conveyor belt levels, which don't apply this run. Therefore, well, we have now completed it. It was a fun run, but we should probably finish off these 3 levels first. We have 3 Zombosses to beat, however, these are randomly chosen, so we can reroll to deal with them. We beat the AE Zomboss the first time. The second one, we have Bowling Ball with plant food available in DA, so we abused that. The final one though, is a bit harder. Mixtape 2, Frostbite Caves, Lost City, and Jurrassic Marsh. Jurrassic Marsh's Zomboss spawns way too many zombies. Mixtape 2 gives us Primal Pea and Cactus, so it isn't happening. This leaves Frostbite Caves and Lost City. Lost City gives us some really bad plants, but the boulder tiles make it theoretically impossible to actually lose. Frostbite Caves has a unique fighting style, where we only in theory need to clear 1 lane. It's just going to take an ungodly amount of time to do, and some bad RNG can screw us over. I've given these quite a few tries each, but no results. Yet. However, they are still optional, so regardless, we have beaten the game this way, and what a run it was! It was honestly super fun to play like this. While in Monday the challenge definitely started to stop being so interesting, as at this point we just spammed instants every level, but it was still super cool regardless to see it doable, and the earlier worlds with less instances were super fun to play. It's something I adored when I played, though we aren't really done yet. After all, we just beat 4 worlds. There are 11. There's a lot of worlds missing, and a lot of these worlds are going to be insanely difficult due to this rule set. If you want me to do those worlds, let me know. I would be totally willing to do it, but it just takes a lot of time to get through. If you want to see more, I actually streamed this game live on my channel. I'll link a playlist, but there were a lot of levels we skipped over. This is simply because a lot of these levels don't have a huge amount of things to say about them that wasn't already covered. But if you are curious, get a watch. You might enjoy it, and there's a lot there. Now with that said, I have to go to grind those Zombosses more, because I'm sure they'll be doable. Maybe. This has been Creeps, and have a good one.